Betting family, welcome back to Crash Against the Spread. We've got a massive slate of 13 games to break down for tomorrow, so let's get right into the action. We're starting our day bright and early across the pond in Dublin, Ireland, for the Minnesota Vikings taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. The first major piece of news here is the quarterback situation for Minnesota. Rookie J.J. McCarthy has been officially ruled out with an ankle injury, which means the veteran Carson Wentz is stepping in to start. Honestly, this might be a blessing in disguise for the Vikings' stability. Wentz is an experienced game manager who is less likely to make those rookie mistakes, especially on an international trip. On the other side, the Steelers' depth chart is interesting. The pressing concern is running back Jaylen Warren, who is questionable with a knee issue, though reports suggest he's likely to play. The line here is razor thin, with the Vikings favored by about 2.5 points. With the Vikings dealing with a last-minute QB switch and the general chaos of international travel, I'm leaning toward the team that's getting points. These Dublin games have a tendency to be close, low-scoring affairs. My best bet is taking the Steelers at plus 2.5. I'm feeling a solid 6 out of 10 on this one. The combination of the points, the travel, and the roster uncertainty from Minnesota gives Pittsburgh a slight edge. Next up, we have a game that looks like a classic mismatch on paper. The New Orleans Saints traveling to face the Buffalo Bills. The Bills are coming in healthy, firing on all cylinders, and looking every bit like a Super Bowl contender. The Saints, on the other hand, are struggling and have a whopping 7 players listed on their Wednesday injury report. The betting line reflects this massive gap, with the Bills favored by as much as 17 points. This is a huge number, but I don't think it's big enough. If the Saints are missing any of their key offensive weapons, and it looks like they might be, they simply won't have the firepower to keep pace with Josh Allen and that explosive Bills offense. Buffalo has historically dominated this matchup when they're healthy, and there's no reason to think that trend will stop now. I'm not going to overthink this one. Lay the points and take the Bills minus 14.5. My confidence here is a strong 7 out of 10. The talent gap is just too wide, and the injury situation for New Orleans is too concerning to ignore. Let's head down to Texas for a battle of the winless, as the Tennessee Titans visit the Houston Texans. Both teams are looking for their first victory, but the Texans seem to be in a much better spot. They're at home and are getting healthier, especially in their receiving cores. The big question mark for Houston is the status of cornerback Derek Stingley Jr., who is questionable with an oblique injury. If he plays, the Texans' secondary gets a significant boost. The Titans are just inconsistent, and the market seems to agree, setting the Texans as 7-point favorites. This feels right. Given the home field advantage and the more favorable injury report, Houston has the clearer path to victory. It's a bit of a coin flip when two struggling teams face off, but I have to lean with the home team here. I'm taking the Texans minus 7. This is a moderate play, so I'd put my confidence at about a 5.5 out of 10. The edge is there, especially if Stingley suits up. Now, for a showdown in the NFC North, where the Cleveland Browns travel to take on the Detroit Lions. The Lions are looking good at 2, and 1 and are heavy 10-point favorites at home. They have a powerful offense that can put up points in a hurry. The Browns, meanwhile, are dealing with some issues. They've had to elevate defensive backs from the practice squad, which suggests they could be thin in the secondary. More importantly, the status of offensive tackle Jack Conklin is up in the air. If he can't play, Cleveland's offensive line will have a very tough time protecting their quarterback against Detroit's pass rush. And while I'd like to see Gabriel or Saunders in there, if you can protect them, it's not the right time. This game feels like it sets up perfectly for the Lions to control from start to finish. A superior offense, playing at home against a team with potential instability in the trenches, and the secondary is a recipe for a cover. I'm comfortably taking the Lions minus 10. I'm pegging this one at a 6.5 out of 10 confidence level. The matchup just heavily favors Detroit. Let's move on to an NFC clash between the Washington Commanders and the Atlanta Falcons. This game has been completely upended by injuries. The Commanders will be without their starting quarterback, Jaden Daniels, and their star wide receiver, Terry McLaurin. That is a massive blow to their offense. Without their top 2 playmakers, Washington's game plan will have to be extremely conservative. The Falcons aren't without their own issues, as they'll be missing top cornerback A.J. Terrell, but the losses on the Commanders' side are far more significant. The betting line is tight, with the Falcons favored by just 2.5 points. In a game that projects to be a slugfest, I have to side with a home team that isn't dealing with an emergency situation at its most important positions. Give me the Falcons minus 2.5. It's not a high-confidence pick, maybe a 5.5 out of 10. But Washington is simply too short-handed at wide receiver to trust. Next, we have a fantastic matchup between two undefeated teams as the Eagles visit the Bucs. The big news for the Bucs is that quarterback Baker Mayfield is expected to play despite a biceps injury, and key players like Chris Godwin and Tristan Wirfs are also good to go. However, they will still be without star receiver Mike Evans. For the Eagles, their secondary could be a bit vulnerable, with cornerback Adoree Jackson listed as doubtful. This is a true heavyweight fight, and both teams pride themselves on strong defense and controlling the clock. With Mayfield not at 100%, without his top target in Evans, and with the Eagles potentially vulnerable in the secondary, I don't see a shootout happening. I expect a tough, gritty game where both offenses have to work for everything they get. That's why I'm looking at the total. My best bet here is the under 44.5. I feel pretty good about this one, around a 6 out of 10. The personnel gaps on both sides point to a lower-scoring defensive battle. Let's head up to New England, where the Carolina Panthers will face the Patriots. The Panthers are absolutely decimated by injuries. They have 4 players ruled out, including key pass rushers, and running back Chuba Hubbard is questionable. If Hubbard can't go, their offense will be in serious trouble against a Bill Belichick-coached defense. The Patriots have their own concerns on the offensive line, but the Panthers' injury report is just too long to ignore. The Patriots are favored by 5.5 points, and that feels about right. New England is masterful at exploiting an opponent's weaknesses, and Carolina has a lot of them right now. This is a prime spot for the Patriots to control the game with their defense and a methodical offense. I'm taking the Patriots minus 5.5. Confidence is at a 6 out of 10. The injuries for Carolina are just too significant to overcome on the road. Our next game features the Los Angeles Chargers visiting the New York Giants. This is a tale of two teams heading in completely opposite directions. The Chargers are a perfect 3-0, and their offense is clicking, while the Giants are 0-3 and have struggled on both sides of the ball. There isn't much to analyze here in terms of complex injuries or roster moves. It's simply a case of a very good team playing a struggling team. Justin Herbert and the Chargers' passing attack should be able to exploit the holes in the Giants' defense. The spread is Chargers minus 6.5, and I think they can cover it. Jackson Dottie's getting his first start, and I hope he's electric. But traditionally, rookie quarterbacks in their first start struggle out the gate. I'm on the Chargers minus 6.5. This is a solid 6 out of 10 confidence pick for me. I'm taking the better team with the better offense. Let's head out west for a great matchup between the Jacksonville Jaguars and the San Francisco 49ers. The biggest news here is that 49ers quarterback Brock Purdy is officially back and will start after dealing with a toe injury. His return provides a huge boost of stability and efficiency to an already potent offense. The 49ers' defense and run game are built to control the tempo, especially at home. The Jaguars are a good team, but traveling across the country to face a healthy 49er squad is a tall order. With Purdy back in the lineup, San Francisco's offense is simply less volatile and more reliable. The line is Niners minus 3.5, and I believe they have what it takes to win by more than a field goal. My pick is the Niners minus 3.5. I'm pretty confident in this one, a 7 out of 10. Purdy's return is the key factor that pushes the Niners over the top. Next up, we have the undefeated Indianapolis Colts traveling to Los Angeles to take on the Rams. The Colts have been a fantastic story so far, but this will be a tough road test. The Rams are slight home favorites, getting 3.5 points. This is a really close matchup on paper. The Colts' offense has been incredibly efficient, but the Rams' defense, particularly their front seven, has the ability to generate pressure and disrupt things. In what projects to be a tight game, I have to give the slight edge to the home team. SoFi Stadium provides a real advantage, and I think the Rams' defensive line will be the difference maker in a close contest. I'll lay the points and take the Rams minus 3.5. This is a lower confidence play for me, about a 5.5 out of 10, but I'm trusting the home field advantage in a game with thin margins. Now for a game in Las Vegas, where the Chicago Bears take on the Raiders. This is another matchup that looks like a complete coin flip, with the Raiders favored by just 1.5 points. The Bears are dealing with a few key injuries. Tight end Colston Loveland is not expected to play, and running back Dandra Swift is questionable. Those are significant potential losses for their offense. The Raiders, playing at home in the Dome, have an offense that can be explosive. In a game with such a tight spread, you have to look for any small edge you can find. The Bears' injury situation provides that edge. Playing in a controlled environment should also help the Raiders' offense get into a rhythm. I'm going with the Raiders minus 1.5. This is a pure lean, a 5 out of 10 on the confidence scale. It's a low unit play, but the injuries tilt the scales just enough toward Vegas. Get ready for a potential AFC Championship preview as the Baltimore Ravens head to Arrowhead to face the Kansas City Chiefs. This game saw a massive shift with the news that Ravens star defensive tackle Nnamdi Madebic has been placed on injured reserve. That is a devastating blow to the interior of Baltimore's defense. His absence makes it much harder to generate pressure on Patrick Mahomes and stop the run. On the flip side, the Chiefs are getting healthier, with explosive receiver Xavier Worthy expected to return. The Chiefs are favored by 5.5 points, and with the Madebic injury, that line looks very appealing. Giving Mahomes extra time in the pocket at home is a recipe for disaster for any opponent. I'm all over the Chiefs minus 5.5. This is one of my more confident picks of the week, a solid C at the out of 10. That injury is a game changer that swings the advantage heavily in Kansas City's favor. Finally, we have our Sunday Night Football main event. The Green Bay Packers versus the Dallas Cowboys. This game is an injury nightmare for both teams. The Cowboys will be without their superstar wide receiver, CeeDee Lamb, which is a massive loss for their passing game. However, the Packers' situation might be even worse. Their offensive line is in shambles, with multiple starters and key backups either ruled out or doubtful. An offense can't function without protection, no matter who is at quarterback. Even with Lamb out, the Cowboys' defense should be able to feast on a depleted Green Bay offensive line. The line has the Packers favored by 6.5 points, which feels completely off, given their O-line crises. The model projections might favor Green Bay on paper, but football isn't played on paper. My official best bet here, due to the offensive struggles I foresee, is the under 47.5. The Micah Parsons of it all. Should have Dak running, and if Jordan Love can't get comfortable either, both offenses will be limited by their personnel issues. That is gonna do it. Leave a like if you watched it all. These videos are just as much for me as other people, so I hope you're into them. If not, you're not even here, so who gives a shit? Happy betting on Sunday. See you Monday.